Hello everyone. Today's joke of the day is, what did the big flower say to the little flower? Stay tuned to find out. Our learning target for today is I can describe a system of equations and I can determine the number of solutions for a system of equations. So we're starting our unit here on solving systems of equations. We will see two equations and that makes up a system, and our goal will be to find the point or the ordered pair where the lines intersect. So this ordered pair is called the solution of the system. Okay. So for example, if we see these two equations here, y equals x minus 5 and y equals negative 2x plus 1, that makes up a system of equations. Okay. And we can classify this system of equations by the number of solutions, so the number of points where the lines intersect. Okay, so if a system of equations has at least one solution, so it could have one or it could have more than one, we call that system consistent. And if a consistent system has one solution, so the lines cross at one point exactly, it is also called independent. But if a consistent system has infinitely many solutions, and the only time that that would happen is if the lines are the same line, then we call that dependent. Okay, and if a system has no solution, that means that the lines are going to be parallel, they never cross, then we call that system inconsistent. Okay, so a system can either be consistent or inconsistent, and if it's consistent, it can be independent or dependent. Let's make a little table to help us classify these systems, okay? So in this graph, this first one, we see two lines that cross at one point. Okay, the number of solutions is 1, and that means that it's going to be consistent because there is a solution, and independent because there's exactly one solution. Okay, now this one here, we only see one line, which means our system is actually the same line, those two lines that are exactly the same. So our number of solutions is going to be infinitely many. And because there is a solution, we call it consistent and dependent. Okay, and then finally we have these two lines that are parallel, they never cross, so there are no solutions, and the system is inconsistent. Okay, so now let's move on to the next, look at some examples here. So we are going to use this graph to classify each system as consistent or inconsistent, and then if it's consistent, independent or dependent. Then we're going to determine the number of solutions, and if there's one solution, we're going to name the solution. Okay, so this first example, number 1, we have y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, so that's this blue line here as one of our lines. And then y equals negative 2x minus 5, which is this red line. Okay, so those are the two lines we're looking at for our system. And they cross at one point. So that means that our system is going to be consistent because they have a solution, and independent. And you can always use your chart to help you out to classify these systems if you're not sure. Okay, so it's consistent and independent, and it has one solution. And finally, we want to name the solution. So our solution point is right here. It's going to be at negative 2, negative 1. That is our solution to the system of equations, okay? The point where the lines cross. Now for this next one, we have negative 2x plus 3. Okay, that's this green line here. And negative 2x minus 5 is this red line here again. Okay. And those two lines look like they're parallel, and in fact, they have the same slope, so we know that they are parallel. So they are going to be inconsistent. Okay, they're never going to cross because that's a property of parallel lines. They're going to have no solutions. Okay, and that's it for that one. Right here, now number 3, we have y equals x minus 5. That's this purple line here, but I'm going to trace it in yellow because I don't have a purple color. Okay, and y equals negative 2x plus 3. That's this green line here again. Okay, and they cross at one point, which means that it's going to be consistent and independent. There's going to be one solution. And actually those lines intersect kind of in the middle of the grid lines. So I'm not going to name that solution. You will typically, if you're graphing, your solutions will be where the lines cross at grid lines. Okay, so you don't have to worry about those. And finally, we have a system that says y equals x minus 5 and y equals x minus 5. We don't even really need the graph for this one because we can tell that these are the same equation, same line. Okay, so and if they're the same line, then we know that they are going to be consistent because the lines will cross at every point, but they'll be consistent and dependent. There will be infinitely many solutions. Okay, so always look at that chart that you made if you are having trouble trying to classify the system or identify the number of solutions. And just remember that everything can be classified in multiple ways, right? Especially if it's consistent. If an equation is consistent, then it can also be independent or dependent. Okay, so paying attention to which of those that it is. Okay, now for today's joke of the day. What did the big flower say to the little flower? What's up, bud? Thanks for watching and have a great day.